120,000 reasonable cities worth of mail-in ballots weren't counted
Oh.
in the last election. And again,
Oh.
you are told it's a conspiracy theory if you question election integrity or the competency of the people over at Elections Canada. And I did an X thread where I broke down, like, this is just the very recent stuff that we know about from them. So according to Elections Canada, 1,321,000 and change special ballots were issued in the April 28th federal election, but only 1.2 million were counted. That
Oh.
means 120,000 ballots vanished. That's about 1 in 10 just gone.
Oh, what
But
are we doing over there at Elections Canada? And it begs to be mentioned that Elections Canada is one of these federal agencies that's seen their employment numbers skyrocket over the last couple of years. So it isn't that they don't have the people, because they've been hiring a disproportionate number of employees to work at Elections Canada, and yet 1
right.
out of 10 ballots goes missing, or 1 out of 10 ballots doesn't get counted. What is going on at Elections Canada?
Yeah, and those are just the bulk numbers. That isn't a breakdown per riding, because some of those ridings were sickeningly close, and I detailed that. So the
Oh,
agency has already apologized for dumping 822 special ballots in Coquitlam, BC. So these were people who were in Coquitlam who cast a ballot for their ridings across the country. So these were to be distributed. These
right.
were just gone because they weren't given in time, even though the agency had, or a worker had them, they just didn't give them to the counter. So after the counting's done with these special ballots, you
Yes.
don't use them.
Like somebody took the box home. Somebody took the box home, or the
Yeah,
bag of mail, and forgot to pass it
yeah.
on. Like,
So this
that's
is
what
where they were
happened
all
here,
supposed to
guys. Yeah.
go. And then
Insane. So were any of those ridings, would it have been close enough to swing the outcome?
I don't know in any of those, but I do know that they mislabeled ballots in Terrebonne, Quebec, where the Liberals won by 1 vote.
Oh,
And now
that is insane.
they're investigating themselves. Um,
Oh,
eh,
we know what the outcome is of that is going to be.
yeah,
Anything where the federal government is involved, where they investigate themselves, they find themselves innocent,
and
innocent and forgivable.
this isn't new, because when you look back at the 2021 election, because they do, like, after the election, they do like a big let's analyze it. I
Audit
get,
and
yeah, I
audit.
guess it's to sort of make them be useful in the interim periods. In the 2021 election, 123,000 ballots
Oh,
weren't mailed back in time, so they weren't mailed to Elections Canada to be counted from the, like, when you go to in advance voting. 90,000 came in late. So 123 weren't submitted at all. And this is not the problem of the electors. These are in the hands of Elections Canada workers, and they're not sent in for counting. And 90,000 did come in, but they came in late, so they weren't counted either.
holy Hannah.
So
You would think that Elections Canada would have that process down pat, that they
you
would
would
get in
think,
touch with Canada Post and say, what do we have to do to make sure that all of these ballots are shipped and received and counted in the appropriate time frame? You
yeah,
would think that they would have that all lined up before, but no.
yeah. So that roughly amounts to 213,000 voters disenfranchised in this
Holy
country.
Hannah, that's not nothing, you guys. That's near a quarter of a million people whose
Yeah,
votes weren't counted.
yeah.
Holy Hannah.
And then now, just now, we're getting around to prosecuting, or sorry, fining people who illegally voted in the 2021 election. So yeah, it's
Okay.
2025. So non-citizen voted in Edmonton. He admitted he knew he wasn't eligible. What do you get for that? $1,000. You know what I would like to see then? If your vote is improper and it's $1,000, then the people who screwed up and didn't do their jobs should be fined $1,000 for every single person they disenfranchised,
That's exactly right.
right?
That
Because
is
now we
exactly
know
there should be
we
consequences to this unaccountability. Yes.
this is what we know a vote is worth. This is them telling us they know what a vote is worth. So let's make it worth that. Then it
There should
goes
be
on.
there should be $225,000 being paid by Elections Canada
Yep.
employees for crapping the bed on this.
Yeah. Then we've got another guy in Richmond Hill voted once by mail and once in person. So again, knows completely that what he's doing is everybody knows you can't vote twice.
Right.
He voted once by mail, once in person. He was only fined $1,000. So that's like $500 in infraction. So like a speeding ticket's worth of uh, stealing a vote.
Huh.
We're
So
not
the
even taking
so
this stuff seriously.
so what we're saying is the penalties for voters who commit voter fraud is much, much, much greater than the actual, um, Elections Canada bureaucracy that does 225,000 times worse.
Yes.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. And then
Disproportionate.
the problems don't end there. Elections Canada's chief electoral officer, Stéphane Perreault, he's the guy overseeing this mess. He met privately with the Liberals and the NDP and government bureaucrats back in January of 2024 about moving the fixed election date. He did.
Oh,
He was called to testify at the committee. This didn't get a lot of like
oh
play
my
at the time
god.
from anybody other than I guess me, because I watched these committee hearings and I clipped it. And it was to accommodate the pension qualifications of outgoing MPs. They did not meet with the Conservatives or the Bloc, which means this was a partisan meeting to
Holy
fix the
Anna.
election
Was it
with
ever?
the
Because we know that there were a great many Liberal and NDP MPs who would not have qualified,
yep,
including Jagmeet Singh, who would not
yep,
have qualified for their super rich, juicy pensions if the election date didn't get moved.
yep.
And so I wonder what happened in those meetings. Did they look at the calendar and they'd be like, "Oh, Diwali falls within
Exactly
that
what
time frame."
happened.
That's
Exactly what
exact
happened.
so then they moved it to Easter? So then they moved it
Exactly
to
what
Easter.
happened.
This
Exactly
is
what happened.
this is actually insane, like election interference level insane, which is unlawful here in Canada, or it's supposed to be anyway, if we had a government that took these things seriously. But
Yep.
what, like the levels of corruption here are
Yeah.
staggering. They're
Yeah.
staggering.
He should be fired, Stéphane Perreault. But the Liberals are in power and we just reward corruption. But 28 Liberal and NDP MPs qualified for their pension because of that. And so I broke it all down. I said, let's summarize for people who are telling you you can't talk about election integrity in Canada. We have the best system in the world. We've got ballots lost for 2 elections in a row, small cities worth of ballots lost, ballots miscounted, elections swung by 1 vote where ballots are miscounted, illegal voting, double voting, and secret meetings with the chief electoral officer, partisan secret meetings between the NDP and the Liberals and bureaucrats, but not the other
Wild.
parties to move the election date. And apparently it's a conspiracy theory if I bring these things up.
What's a conspiracy theory if you even venture to think that this was an installed government? And here
Yeah.
we have a government that it seems nobody wanted. Nobody wanted, who'd crapped the bed for so hard for 10 years that they
Yeah.
were, the Conservatives had a 20-point lead, and then we have all of this being revealed. Whoa. Is this
Yeah.
a is this a government is this a government that was elected, or is this a government that was selected? We'll leave that to you, Canada, to
Yeah.
tell us.
I mean, and like with these many problems in a normal grown up country, you would just redo the elections and you would run by elections.
Right.
Uh, but this is Canada and we reward corruption with more corruption.